London, a city where historic significance mingles effortlessly with modernization. Streets filled with a chorus of languages, cultures, and constant exchange. The air seasoned with, how do you say, an odor, a mixed bag of pleasant aromas and completely unwarranted jabs to the nostrils. Every few blocks your nose is rolling the dice, sometimes fresh pastries, sometimes flowers, sometimes, well, something that probably shouldn't be discussed over dinner. It's a place where you can begin your morning wandering quiet cobblestone streets before the city has fully awakened. The cool air, church bells echoing somewhere in the distance, imagining what stood here hundreds of years ago. What trades filled these storefronts, what conversations these walls have overheard, what tea Lady Whistledown would be spilling next. Then, without warning, London reminds you it is still one of the busiest cities on earth. The peaceful morning gives way to bustling sidewalks, trains arriving every few minutes, and crowds moving with a purpose only they seem to understand. Before you know it, you're standing outside on a muggy Sunday afternoon, waiting in an impressively long line for Harrods to open. IDK, its windows become their own form of entertainment. Trinkets calling your name, convincing you they're the perfect souvenir to check another gift off the list before flying home. Then, just a few steps away, luxury brands sit behind glass so spotless, it practically disappears, quietly inviting you inside, while simultaneously reminding you of your debit-to-income ratio. Leaving London behind for the countryside almost feels like traveling through time. Small towns and villages where they may, in fact, be without a grocery store, but somehow have a church and 3 pubs. Priorities. Storefronts, dressed in perfectly manicured flower arrangements. Stone buildings old enough to appear in your history homework, camouflaged beneath creeping ivy that's probably been climbing those walls longer than some countries have existed. Giant hedge walls serving as lush green privacy fences while forcing drivers to approach every corner with a little faith and a lot of caution. The roads are narrow enough that patience becomes less of a personality trait and more of a survival skill. Drivers exchange little waves of appreciation after squeezing past one another. It's a quiet politeness that somehow works. These are communities with fewer people than the average American high school. Yet the pride they have in their history gardens and neighbors shines brighter than many major cities. Then came what the locals described as a national emergency, a heat wave, 89 degrees Fahrenheit. Now, before I make too much fun, I do have some empathy. Air conditioning is still considered something of a premium flex in the year of our Lord 2026. Schools closed, services were interrupted, news programs debated worker protections. Tragically, lives were even lost, all because of temperatures and humidity levels that we'd simply describe as pretty nice today. Back home in Houston, one thing I wasn't expecting was just how much they enjoy American culture. American music poured from pubs. American fashion filled the streets. American restaurants were everywhere. Although, it's worth mentioning, many of the foods they seem to love are apparently banned by their own government. I'll just leave that one sitting there. Of course, no trip is complete without the food. There were incredible meals, a few disappointments, and enough culinary adventures to keep me entertained the entire journey. Somehow, despite all my wandering, I never did manage to get that mythical, proper, full English breakfast. I suppose every trip deserves one unfinished chapter, gives you an excuse to come back. As my time here came to an end, I realized I wasn't just bringing home souvenirs. I was bringing home memories. The quiet calm of the countryside, the endless energy of London's streets, the sound of church bells drifting through villages older than my country, the sight of castles, bridges, and neighborhoods standing proudly after centuries of change. Little moments that photographs capture, but never quite do justice. I've bottled up a small supply of countryside tranquility and ancient city buzz to keep on the shelf back home. Hopefully it'll last until I can make the journey again for a refill. So, to our former landlords, I bid you adieu. Thank you for the history, the hospitality, the scenery, and the reminder that 89 degrees can apparently qualify as a crisis. Now, it's your turn. Come visit us. Experience a real heat wave. Eat food seasoned beyond what you thought possible. Stand outside without needing a jacket in July. Then step inside and enjoy one of mankind's greatest inventions, air conditioning. Cheers.